Everybody talking about the weekend, I don't see the hype though. When it's done on Wednesday, see that with your eyes closed. Every hump day, 9 o'clock on the dot. The insurance syndicate be dropping gems, don't believe me, just watch. The insurance syndicate be dropping gems, don't believe me, just watch. The insurance syndicate be dropping gems, don't believe me, just watch.
Is happening, Syndicate members. It is Wednesday. You know what that means? It means we are live from Austin, Texas. I am here with my great friend. He's over there, Joe Gantosaurus. You probably know him. He's the king of Facebook groups, the king of PNC, and he's a pretty good first baseman. I got to admit, he's a pretty good first baseman.
Hey,
how you doing, my friend?
Hey, I'm doing good. Look, you're making me go right into my weekly win, baby. Y'all already know.
I know what you're going to say. You say it every week. We won another softball game.
We did. We came out freaking swinging last night, man. And I tell you, I almost wasn't going to bring up that play I made at first. And that dude, I had his ass out. That was for sure. But I had a nice step and a low snag. But yeah, that was definitely my weekly win. And we're actually on Saturday, I'm going to Temple. So we've got our Texas Redwood. So our main softball team, we're going to North versus South. So it should be a good tournament. I think it's bats, rings, and I can't remember if there's cash or not involved this weekend. But I'm excited for that.
Softball Civil War.
Yeah, right. It's probably, dude, I'm telling you, man, sometimes these softball games be freaking feeling like it's a war, man. Like to the point of where there was one tournament that guns were brought out at the end. So,
wow.
Yeah, dude, slow pitch softball, bro. It gets freaking
You're not
heated.
Talking about guns, are you?
No,
bang,
bang, bang, baby.
Yeah, I don't want to be around that atmosphere.
But yeah, taking the whole family out there. Laura loves going,
Sure.
And there's tons of kids running around and stuff, and so it's definitely going to be a good one. So that is my win, softball, baby, as always. How about you?
As always. Money. Money is my win. I love. Who doesn't like money in this business? Humana threw out almost $500,000 in bonus marketing cash to us this year that we get to pass through to agents.
Wow,
that's more than they've ever given us. Aetna came in right behind them and gave us $250,000. Says, here's your AEP money. Go give that to your agents. Get them out there, get them producing. So that always feels good to see that money roll in and see that budget and know that I can reach out to my guys and be like, hey, we got fat pockets. Who wants to do some marketing? Let's go. Right. So we're going to have a big AEP. I think we did just short of 27,000 apps last year for AEP in the Medicare Advantage world. I think our target is 35,000 this year. Nice. We'll probably beat that, to be honest with you, because I know we put on some bigger teams, and with that kind of a marketing budget behind us, we should be able to get out there and absolutely light it up.
The power of relationships, right there, right?
Well, that and production helps.
Yeah, true.
Humana's not going to give us that money if the production's not already there.
Put your money where your mouth is.
How good of friends you are,
right?
But man, we've got a killer. We got a really good guest today. I'm excited for this show. We've got a young gun of insurance. He is fresh off of The Ultimate Agent.
Come on.
I don't know if any of you guys saw that show. If you didn't see it, you need to climb out from underneath the rock that you're living in. But our good buddy Cody Askins was one of the first guys that put a real interesting reality show for insurance out there, specifically for the life insurance industry. And if you haven't seen it, I'll just give you a quick rundown. He took 5 agents, flew in a private jet to an undisclosed location, locked them in a mansion, fed them, took care of them, surrounded them with coaches. And in 5 days or 6 days, they had to sell a bunch of life insurance by phone out in the field, had some different challenges. And at the end of it, one of them was crowned the ultimate agent, and he gave away $121,000 in cash and prizes, released the final episode at his big 8% Nation conference along with the winner. And we have one of the contestants on the show today. Let's bring him on here, man. It's Mr. Johnny Nitafan's a young guy. He's out there killing it. What is up, dude?
What's up, guys? How are you? Thanks so much for having me. It means a lot.
Well, thank you for coming on, man. We're a fan of Johnny Nitafan. So we wanted to get you on the show, talk to you a little bit, and see what's cracking. So what's going on in your world out there today?
Yeah, no, it's definitely like the summer is definitely dying down a little bit, which is nice. There's no 120 degrees anymore. It's more like 100, just a little bit like that. So it's nice, cool, refreshing. Definitely going out to the gym.
Definitely doesn't live in Texas. Definitely not in Texas.
Arizona, though. Arizona's hot too, though. I'll give you that.
Dry heat.
Yeah. That's right.
Not
That's
fun
right
either. But Yeah.
Yeah,
So
Texas
no,
has
things
two
are good out
seasons.
here.
We have summer and summerer.
Right. No, real quick. Well, Johnny, tell them a little bit about just kind of who you are. Like who's Johnny, where you're from, really, and ultimately where I want to start before guys. We're gonna get into Ultimate Agent, but then we're gonna really pivot. We're gonna stay there just for a second because I think a lot of y'all, especially if you're in this group, then you definitely have seen the stuff about Ultimate Agent. I'm sure you've watched it, and I mean, it's been freaking, it was amazing to watch. Honestly, I was hooked. Our family was like watching it stuff. But then we're going to really pivot from that. We want to give you all some really tangible action items, as well as just some mindset, some values, and things that I think, Johnny does a really good job of embodying in his personal life, but in his business. And that's really, I think, what has allowed him at a very young age and very young in the industry to freaking come out hot, like just freaking ripping it, man. So, but before we get there, again, who's Johnny? Where are you from, man? Kind of what you've been up to, and then we'll get into Ultimate Agent and go from there.
Totally, brother. Well, yeah. So I was born in San Diego. I always got to bring that in because it's like a little Cali guy, and so born there. I was only there for like a year and a half, and so I moved out from there. We moved out to New Mexico, and so I was raised in New Mexico, grew up there, and had big dreams from the start. Right. It's funny because you think about it, like everybody says, like you might be a natural seller. Sometimes some people say yes and no. But I remember with my good friend, my best friend, we would go out door knocking so that we can sell tickets because we had big dreams to go play at these big like AAU tournaments and club basketball tournaments. And so we couldn't afford it, right? So we didn't grow up like wealthy by any means. And so like we had to go door knocking, we had to go literally selling tickets so that like raffles so that we could hopefully get to these tournaments and get some fundraiser sponsorship stuff. So grew up and just like had a big dreams of like I wanted to go to the NBA. I wanted to be that guy. And I wanted to do that. So I that was like pretty much my life. I did that growing up and like went to all the club basketball tournaments and like that's literally all I did. Go to the gym. Like I was just the gym rat. Right. And so I went to school so that I could get the grades to impress college coaches so I could get to a better school, not to get an education really. And so I was like kind of there just so that I could like do my work, get in and have a better resume. But that's like it. I wasn't really about getting a ton of like education, stuff like that in terms of the system. Right. So had big dreams, big aspirations to do that, raised a ton of money, went to this, like so that I could go to this Hillcrest Prep out here in Arizona. So I moved out here like literally a week after I graduated high school. So if you guys don't know, the prep school is like right between high school and college. And so you play like we had a schedule of 50 like games, right? In our prep school, but we literally play 25 junior colleges. And if you go to junior college, you lose a year of eligibility. But if you go to a prep school, you play all the junior colleges, you get in front of the same colleges, scouts, all that stuff, but you don't lose a year of eligibility. So a lot of people go there to get bigger, stronger, faster, develop their skills. So I raised a bunch of money, about $8,000. At that time, it felt like a lot, and just friends, family, all that stuff. Moved out here, and I quit. And I was like, dude, I cannot use this. Like, I just didn't want to do it really anymore, honestly. And so I was like, I can't just use this money like everybody else, go to Chick-fil-A every day and just have money in my account, just chilling there. So I actually started a clothing line when I was 18. And so I was like, dude, honestly, like, I just want to jump in. I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to own my own business. And like, I have the ability to, and just learn a ton of skills at a very like younger, right?
Yep.
So I was like, I'm going to learn how to file an LLC. I'm going to learn how to do all these business things and just learn from experience. And if I fail, I learned. So that was my mindset. And so started a clothing line, and it was all right. I tried to find some different people. The biggest mistake I made is I didn't have a mentor, somebody really like helping me, guiding me through the process. I kind of was just like, all right, cool. Like look
Let's
up
go.
YouTube videos. What's next? Like how do you do this? And so I just like, I try to get around influencers that like could wear my brand. And one time, I don't know if you guys know B.A. He's like an impersonator of like all these NBA guys. I saw him like just literally playing basketball one day, and I was like, yo. So literally I have this shirt in my bag, and this is my clothing line.
Okay.
And so I was like, yo, put this on. Let's make a highlight reel. And you just play in it. So he made a highlight reel, did it, promoted on his Instagram, and like, boom, business was popping for a little bit. And that's just the power of relationships, like you were talking
Right.
about. You just find somebody, you take the opportunity, you see it, you just go after it. I'm like, dude, what are the odds that this happens? Just have it. He's like, dude, this is awesome. So made a highlight reel and business popped from there. And then I don't know, I just didn't really like making clothes, in all honesty. So I just stopped.
Right. Hey,
So
and
yeah.
so let's stay right there though, because I think I heard you say the word quit, and I actually have to disagree with you there. And
Okay.
anybody that hears this word come out of my mouth a lot is, I don't think you necessarily quit. I think you just made a pivot, right? And that's
Yeah.
man, that actually
True.
even works perfectly for the basketball reference too. But
True.
and I will say too, I was like, I wanted to be in the NBA too, and then I grew like 6 inches over a summer, and they're like, you can't play point guard anymore, and I'm like, screw you guys, I'm a point guard. And they're like, dude, you're like 6'6", you got to be a center, and I'm like, screw it, man, I'm playing lacrosse. But I think again, you didn't necessarily quit. I think
Yeah.
and agents feel this. Agents feel this, and I wanted to stay there because I think it's directly relatable to when agents feel that burnout, right? And you kind of
Yeah.
talked about that, where it's like, man, I didn't feel it. And I think a lot of the times, and I talk with a ton of agents, on a weekly basis, where it's like a lot of them are feeling that burnout, and make a pivot, right? Like, hey, you don't necessarily have to like, oh, now Johnny's going back home, because he's not doing it anymore. It's like, nah, man, let's pivot. And then you went and really tapped into that entrepreneurial spirit. Doesn't mean that necessarily it was, you know, the clothing line wasn't a bad idea, right? Maybe it just wasn't the right idea, right? But it's
Yeah.
you chased it, you pursued it, right? And then what'd you do? Then you made a pivot, right? So
Pivot.
then
Yep.
let's talk about that pivot. How did you get into insurance, right? And so for me,
Mhm.
I started when I was 19, but that was because, I mean, everybody knows this part of my story is like I've always wanted to be in insurance, right? Who kind of how did you learn about insurance, and why did you really
Yeah.
decide that, hey man, I want to pursue this, I want to make this a career?
Dude, it's crazy because so I got married about a year ago. Our anniversary is coming up, and um like I
How old are
knew
you?
that
How
there
old are
was.
you right now?
I'm 21.
Yeah. You guys, hey,
So
did you guys watch Ultimate Agent? He was drinking a water bottle when everybody else was drinking champagne on the plane. I was like, oh, Johnny's 20.
yes, sir.
Anyways, go
Yeah.
for it.
Yeah, no, so I got married a year ago, and I got introduced to the insurance world from my father-in-law, because her dad actually is in health insurance, been in health insurance, like group health benefits, for 32 years. And so he grew a book of business, and was able to sell it, and did really well. And so he's still doing it to this day. And so he's like, hey, this could be a good opportunity to really build a career. And I was like, dude, like, who wants to do insurance? But it's like, I saw it as like a life I could create, right? I saw it like besides Joe.
Hey, hey, yeah, be
Um,
careful, man. I did want to do it. All right.
yeah, but for me, I was like, dude, what in the like, their insurance, bro. But then when I realized it, I was like, this could create the life I really want. And
Hmm.
it's funny because I feel like as you get there, and then all of a sudden you connect it with like what you're doing, and then all of a sudden you like love it. Like you become a passion. Like people ask me all the time, like, why do you love doing insurance? Or like, why are you so obsessed or passionate about it? And I'm like, because I think as you grow and learn, it doesn't start like there, but you build those two together, and it's like it's fun. Like when the relationships are fun. Like going to conferences are a great time because you get to talk, you get to grow together, you're able to
Hmm.
network, you're able to do a lot of different things together. And I'm a people person. I love talking, like networking, just like building relationships with people. And so I was like, tying both of those together, you could just create a huge income, right? So I got introduced to the insurance world right before I got married. I said no at first, uh, and then because he introduced me to his preferred lender, so or vendor. So pretty much it was health insurance benefits. He was just that, and then there's the voluntary benefits like Aflac that they don't pay for. Is the employer doesn't pay for, but the employees do.
Hmm.
Payroll deduction, all that stuff. And I was like, I don't really want to do that. And then after I got married, I was like, dude, I can't work at Starbucks for the rest of my life.
Yep.
And so after a month, I hit that guy up, and I was like, hey, I'm ready. So what do I need to do? He's like, all right, take the test. Took the test. And a lot of people drag out the test. I just took it in a week. Boom, just took it, failed, took it a couple days after that, took it again and passed, and just went. And so literally I started right when I was about to start, I got COVID. And I was like, dude, because you just go business to business, cold door knocking, all that stuff. And I was like, all right. So he's like, well, you could cold call from the house. You like, that's okay. And I was like, oh my gosh. So I just was an appointment setter to start. So he's like, all right, here's a list, and try to set an appointment. Here's a script too. And I'm like, what the heck? So I like literally, when people say like, you like, they think people are like good or like they start good, dude, you're not. Like literally, I remember sitting on my couch, like the phone was so heavy. I was like stomach dropping. I'm like, there was horrible at first, right? You just call and you don't even know what you're doing.
Right.
But it's like, as you build it, okay, set an appointment. They no show. All right. You said a couple more, you maybe one show, and then all of a sudden you start building the confidence and seeing the process go. So I started in employee benefits, like the voluntary benefits side. And then as I did it for 3 months, my third month, we did 30,000 in premium. Right.
Great.
And my commission was about 3,000 to 4,000. And I'm like, bro, like I'm listening to Cody Askins, like different people in the life insurance industry doing 30,000 in premium and making 20 to 25,000, whatever. Right. And I'm like, dude, like there's got to be a different way. So I like interviewed a bunch of different people from his podcast, and I ended up landing with Mason Van Meter. And so we ended up like growing, and so I developed my skills with him, and he really helped me out. And so that's how I got into the life insurance industry, is literally through Cody's podcast. After I was like, how do I cold call an insurance lead? And then all of a sudden, boom. So that's how I got into like the life insurance industry.
I love it. That's literally how I started. I mean, and I mean, dude, we were so broke. It was like, I didn't have anything else other than download a list of names and numbers, scrub it, right? Make sure they're not on the do not call, and just freaking pound the phones. And you're 100% correct. Like, and it sucks out the gate right now. Again, I had some past experience before we started Redwood and everything like that, but still, it's like I was used to working leads. Right, like where I had to unplug my phone at night because so many leads were coming. And then it's like you pivot, you shift to now all outbound, and we did outbound for like 18 months. But you suck, and then about 3 months into it, man, I really developed a skill set where, dude, if they gave me 30 seconds, I'm at least getting a quote out of you. Like, and it was all about that intro. But I wanted to real quick make a quick highlight on that, is that I think when you start. And sometimes, when I call it like some of my older jobs when I first was going was like, you call them like your best, worst job, right? It's like, man, because you hated it at the time, right? And it was a pain to get up and like, oh gosh, another day of cold calling, right? But really that experience was so invaluable. Like if all shit hits the fan, guess what? You got a skill set to where you can still go make money by freaking cold calling people because that's where you started, right? And I think that's, some people overlook that. And I do a lot on Facebook. Like, what if Facebook crashes, right, or goes away? Like, what does Joe do, right? Like, well, it's like, thank the Lord I freaking know how to outbound, because that obviously, if Facebook goes away, my business changes, right?
That skill set carries over to a lot of different industries too. I mean, you can cold call for anything, right? Just drum up business, make contacts, right? Whatever it is. So yeah, huge skill set. That and door knocking, probably the two biggest skills that I can say helped me in speaking, not just selling, but also in being able to have the courage to speak, get on stages, talk to people, things like that. So don't ever, for some of you guys are out there that overlook, or maybe you put down cold calling or door knocking or any of that stuff. Dude, that is the school of hard knocks when it comes to learning how to be a phenomenal, confident communicator. Yeah. So props to anybody that's ever done that. I have a question for Johnny Nitafan. You said you born in San Diego, moved to New Mexico, kind of grew up with your roots in New Mexico. And you said verbatim, had big dreams from the start. What were some of those dreams? I know you kind of mentioned some of the things that you went through where you started door knocking and you were raising money to go to prep school. You raised money to start a business, a few other things, but like, what were some of those big dreams? Like, what were you dreaming about, and where did those dreams come from? Was there an example in your life where you saw possibilities and you're like, oh, you're exposed to something, you're like, oh wow, and that's triggered that dream, or was that something you think that was just inherent with you?
I honestly like I think it's just like seeing the possibilities. Like I remember writing when I was in like third grade or second grade, and it's funny because it stayed in my room. Like I forgot about it, but I kept it in my room, and then all of a sudden, senior year, I was like, "Dang, this is actually happening." I wrote two things on a star, and I said, um, my two goals, my two life goals, to get to the NBA and be an all-star and to get to heaven one day. Because like faith is
Mm.
huge in my life. And so I was like, dang, this is crazy because I almost started a clothing line with one of my good buddies in the basketball space called Jesus Stuff. And so I was like, dang, we're literally about to, because he wanted to go to the NBA too, but he was 20 years older than me. And so
Wow.
he literally had the opportunities different times, literally like got onto the NBA court, first play, tore his ACL. Then he got cut right away. And like literally like, so he's trying to build those dreams up too. And so he was 20 years of like older than me, but we're both in the same spot trying to get to that spot. And so we're like, dude, how crazy would it be if we both got there and like we just had a clothing line together and stuff. And so that's kind of where it got kicked around a little bit, the clothing line. But in terms of like, I really believe like it was just like seeing it and being like, there's so many possibilities out there. Like, why can't that be me?
Mm.
Honestly, like seeing like these different people, like and hearing their stories, I'm like, I mean, it kind of sounds like me. They just had like some type of mindset to be able to get there. But like I don't think I really knew how to tap into that. I wish I knew what I knew now when
Right.
I was trying to go pro in the NBA because it really is mindset. And a lot of the things like I think I had a lot of limiting beliefs at the time. I'm 5'10, 5'11, whatever. I'm like not the highest jumper. I'm not the fastest person. I can shoot very well, but I that's pretty much it. And so but I had the limiting beliefs of like I'm short, nobody's going to pick me up. Who's going to pick up I mean a white guy or like an Asian guy like dude, there's not a lot of NBA players. That's all I could think about, right? And it wasn't the possibility of like actually being able to get there, and the people who have gotten there is more the negativity, and I let that creep in and I really believe that stuff. And I think
Mm.
at the end of the day like it's a mindset's huge key in just insurance, whatever it is, right? If you're selling, if you're whatever it is, it's your mindset that is huge. It's so
Right.
important. And like really like taking being like aware of what you really believe and truly like are thinking about throughout the day and changing those slowly. And I think like even when I started, I was like, dude, I'm bad at this. All right. And over time, it's like, okay, take that thought away. I'm good at this. I'm great at this. I like what at 8%, I feel
Right.
outstanding. I'm
Right.
not going to quit. Like different things like that. Right. So it really was mindset from the start of like, okay, I can do that. But I like had a lot of limiting beliefs, I think, that held me back from that. But it
Yeah.
honestly served me so well even to this day.
Well, and it's why, it's, and Tony, you've heard it. I don't know how many times you've probably heard House of Dreams now, but that's something that, that we really tap into that, and I don't like this about, we'll just say adults in general, that it's like it's childish to have dreams, right? Like it literally, like dreams are for some reason associated with children. And like we have this
Yeah.
whole, obviously, it's literally what we founded our entire business on, but it's like helping agents dream again, because I think people have those dreams and then they bury them, right? Or they do like in ours is like the dream is the middle of the house, right? And then it's the only thing that caps that is your roof, right? Which is your limiting beliefs, like exactly what you're talking about. And I think, people still have those dreams, but then it's like everyday life happens, right? Or they start going
Yeah.
through some trials and tribulation, right?
Yeah,
And
the
those
struggle
dreams for
sets
some,
in.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. Yep. And I just wanted to touch on that because I think it's super important, y'all. Like it's cool to have dreams, right? And you don't
Yeah.
actually, just because it's a dream doesn't mean you need to be doing like, and that you said this earlier, Johnny, insurance. And like for me, yeah, it's what I love to do. It's my passion, right? But I say this a lot too. It's the perfect vehicle. It's the best vehicle, in my opinion, to get you to where your dream is. Maybe insurance isn't Johnny's dream, but man, it pays him good to be able to get to
Yeah.
whatever that big dream is, right? That big goal.
Exactly.
And I know I'm beating a dead horse on that because I say that a lot, but dude, there ain't much that really touches freaking, really just me and Tony were just talking about it last night. Financial services, really just insurance. I mean, dude, it's got to be one of the best vehicles out there to really get you where you want to go, right? In my
Yep.
opinion.
It's the vehicle.
Yes, it is yep.
You did some pretty crazy stuff, man, for a young guy. Going out there, knocking on doors, raising money to try to get yourself onto a team so that you can go somewhere. You raised money for prep school. I mean, when you say you raised money for prep school, like, what did you do? Did you just go out there and beg, like, hey, I'm trying to go to prep school. You got $100? Give me $100. Or did
No,
did you raffle? Did you work to raise that money? Like, what were you doing to get that 8K for prep school?
I mean, it was a lot of different things, but I think it was and it's funny, this actually ties in exactly to, I feel like, how I got onto Ultimate Agent, because I actually did the same thing now thinking about it, but what I did was I literally had like the top 50 names of like people that I really believed that could help me, and I just wrote them a handwritten letter. Hey, this is what I want to do. This is my goal. This is what I really desire to do. Like, this is my dream passion. I would love for you to support in any way, like even following me on the journey, praying for me, or financially if you can. And no harm, no foul, whatever. It's cool. And so I just sent that to a lot of my friends and family. And like literally, I also worked. Like I would do yard work. I would babysit. I would like literally do anything. Honestly, like it was just like some side jobs. And so like I would just do that. I also did trainings for basketball. And so I'd train kids in my neighborhood because I was like 18 at the time. They were like 8 or 10. So we'd have like a bunch of kids and we'd babysit them and just have them all have like a meal for them. And then also like do trainings for them for basketball, different things like that. Right. But I sent handwritten letters to people like why I want to do this, like my passions, all that stuff. So that was kind of that. But how that ties into Ultimate Agent is because literally I sent a handwritten letter to Cody as well. And I sent a I sent a handwritten letter to him saying like what this opportunity would mean to me, like why, like my why. Like I really want to create a life for Bailey and I. And like I always played to this also because I wanted to play on his emotions a little bit. Like you're 20, you were 20 when you started. I'm 20 as well. I played basketball. You played basketball. Like, I want to be just like you and all this stuff, right? And I was like, how cool of an opportunity would this be to you, literally like you 10 years ago or 12 years ago to be on this show? And like just different things like that. And every time he'd call, like, because he'd call through like different of like Devin or Derek, and like he would just call different times, right? And just be like, why should I pick you? And I would always try to close them, and I really never did. I'd always be like, you could pick me right now, right? Like, what? Like, you already know
closing
you're
Cody's
pick me.
no easy feat. Believe me, I've tried.
It's not. So he's like, I could for sure tell you, possibly, you might be in the top like 500. And I'm like, bro,
come on.
Like, that's not funny. But I think
that's
really
gold.
The personability of like being able to connect the emotion with that, and like people want to help, you just like personalize it to them, and I think like it really comes through, to be honest.
That's so gold, bro. I mean, you guys hear that? Especially people that are in Tony's in Medicare, like that handwritten note, that handwritten letter, man. Guess what? And I know I'm telling you, right? And sometimes, people overlook what that means. That's probably a big part, because who else probably wrote Cody a handwritten note and knew that much about his backstory, right? And this and this and it's like, you probably were already picked, right? He was just giving you a tough time. But man, that's freaking awesome. And so literally, so at this point, when you get on the Ultimate Agent, how long have you been in life insurance? Because I know obviously you started the group health.
It was my 6th week in life insurance.
6th week, okay, going out and freaking, and you went far in the show, bro. And don't get me wrong, I was rooting for you too. I was like, come on, hey Johnny, I got money on Johnny, baby.
Thanks.
Yeah,
brother.
we're not gonna talk about where that money went, but I did want to highlight, like one of your best days on that show, bro. Like you freaking were writing premium crazy, right? And so I wanted you to kind of talk a little bit about that. Okay, hey, you said I'm 6 freaking weeks in, right? And I'm going in and you're writing, like thousands of dollars of premium, right? Talk about how you were able, like what was it that you really what are 2 to 3 things Okay. And maybe make them a little bit more tangible. Maybe like really, hey, these were the steps I took to be able to issue this premium while on the show. Like
Yeah.
that's the most impressive part, I think. A lot of people, like, they got to see the finished product. Like, y'all, there's no way it was like super comfortable and easy to sell insurance, and you're recorded the whole time. You've got coaches, right, who like, because then now you feel as though like, man, I want to like try and impress these guys, right? But then
Yeah.
also utilize them. And so talk like, what are 2 to 3 things you did while you're out there that you think really helped you kind of excel and write premium and make it as far as you did in the show?
Yeah, no, I mean, just to that point real quick, like one of the things that was honestly for me it was tough is because it was guys are the guys that I've like looked up to. Like when I was listening to stuff, I would listen to like even with you guys, like I would listen to interviews with you guys on Cody's thing. I'd listen to Roger's podcast. I listened to Nate Offord. I've literally listened to every like one of his podcasts. So I knew about all these different people, Brian and all these people, right? And I'm like, dude, it's like it is nerve-wracking.
Mm-hmm.
Like honestly, like you're just like these guys are the people
And you're
I looked
6
up
weeks
to. And
in.
now, yeah, you're
Right.
just like
You got a camera shoved in
are
your face. Make calls.
yeah, it's like you like they're literally watching you and like while you're calling, and then you got camera crew right there too. And so it's like there is that external pressure of like I want them to like me. I
Mm-hmm.
want our relationship to go further, but also it's like no, like these different things now. And I think that was intimidating. Like it was just like David Price being in the same room, like David Price, Brian, Leslie, and then you got the next set of mentors like Roger, Dallas, and Nate. Like they're animals. They
Mm-hmm.
all are. They're really good at what they do. And it's like I've looked up to these guys, and all of a sudden now it's like they're trying to like help me win or like whatever, right? And so it is intimidating. But yeah, no, but it was cool. I think that one takeaway from the show is like what I'm super grateful for is that it literally like a lot of people have to like fight to get into the network of people. And I think like honestly, I just feel so grateful and privileged like that it was given in a way. Like it was like me not being on that show, I wouldn't be a part of Impact. I wouldn't be a part of like different things like that. And I'm not saying like I did have to fight for it. I think that a lot of people would get this opportunity and not jump at every bit. There were 5 people that were selected, and everybody had the invitation to go to SWAT. 2 people went. How many people actually like built the network and was able to build relationships there, then translate that to 8%, all these different things. So there are opportunities, but I think like the ultimate agent gave me access to you guys that you guys would have never known who I was yet until that show came out, right? So super like indebted to Cody. Like I'm super, super grateful. I literally was hanging out with him last night because he's here in Arizona, and like I was like, bro, like thank you so much. But the 2 to 3 things I think that are very tangible is I said it a ton on the show, and I literally made a video about it yesterday. But like when you're in that pressure situation, when you have 650 leads, they didn't show it on the thing, but they literally gave us like a stack.
Yeah.
Like it was huge. And what you have to realize is like, dude, it really is a numbers game, but you have to get an answer to you have to get an answer. Like you have to get a yes or no. A maybe doesn't count. And a lot of agents, I think, struggle with getting a maybe or I need to think about it. And so they can't play the numbers game actually, because a numbers game is based on a yes or no. If you're getting a maybe, that doesn't count. I'm not interested, that counts as a no, right? As long as you're able to dig through the smoke screen a little bit. But I think what I realized is like, if I get resolution to the lead, I'm going to win. So that's what I did. I literally was like, if they cuss me out, if they do whatever, click next one. And then love the one you're with, the one that's interested at that time. You just boom, 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 boom. So it's like there were different opportunities that came up. Like I was in a house that one day that it was like 6,200 or something like that. That day I went to this house, wrote the life partner is they were like together for like 30 years but not married yet. And so I wrote him, and then I turned to the wife and I was like, hey, can I review your policy as well? And she's like, yeah, I'm paying this. I'm like, I could save you like $10 a month. It's not a lot, but it's better. So like, let's just see if you can get approved. Boom, go to that. So dude took 2 apps in that house, and then go to the next one. And I mean, I got no showed like on that day that I wrote $6,000, I got no-showed probably 5 or 6 times. But it's like having the calendar stacked with appointments, triple, quadruple, like booking,
Yep.
because if they are not there, you cannot waste time. So I think that's the first thing. Like literally every single minute of my calendar was booked.
Yep.
Like if I'm not running the appointment, I'm dialing for more appointments, or like I'm door knocking, right? I mean, you saw how that worked out. I'm not doing that again. But yeah, that's like the first tangible thing. Like literally get resolution to the numbers, because there's 650 leads we were given. Like we should have, honestly, looking back, we should have wrote a ton more. But it's all good. So I think that's the first thing. Like it's really a numbers game, and a lot of people are busy throughout the day, but not productive. And that's another thing. Like being productive. I talked a little bit about it on the last point, but it's like literally like every point you got to be talking to people over and over and over again. Like whatever it looks like, right? If you're doing like now I just switched to telesales. I don't even do virtual. I just do telesales.
Yep.
And so it's allowed me to scale a lot faster because I'm able to talk to a lot more people, but it's still like my stomach drops still. Like I took like this weekend, Bailey and I went and just had like a 1-day getaway or a 2-day getaway, but it's like my stomach still on Monday coming in, it like dropped a little bit. Like honestly, I do not want to pick up the phone and start dialing, but I think like being productive throughout the day is very, very, very important, and not just being busy.
Right.
Because I've fallen accustomed to that. Like, oh, I'm talking to these like strategic partners or whatever, right? And it's like, dude, you're not working. And
Right.
like, that's honestly what I've done, and I've seen that. And it's like, you're not, if it's not really like generating revenue, like it's not really being productive.
Right.
And it's like, you can say that, right? It's easy to justify that, like, oh, like we're building a relationship and all this stuff. And it's like, dude, that conversation that took an hour could have taken 15 minutes and been a lot more productive, and you could have gone on to the next one. So
Right.
I think those are
Could have been
some things
scheduled
that,
at a
like,
better time too.
right?
Right?
Like off
Could have been
hours,
scheduled at a
not
better
doing-
time.
100%.
So-
Yeah. So those are like a couple like practical things that I actually implemented, like triple dialing every lead. If they didn't answer, like literally I just put it to the bottom. And then what
And call
Nate
again.
talked about is like take a stack of 25, triple dial them again and one more time. Those are on the direct mail leads, the age leads, because they gave us a fresh direct mail drop, and then they also gave us some age leads. The aged ones, if they didn't answer after a triple dial, I'd just move on and just like count it as a no, because it's like, dude, you can't waste time.
Yeah, you got too
doing
many
that.
leads. Like that's a
Right.
good
Yep.
problem to have. That's that's ultimately what you want when you have that many leads. It's just call and move on, call and move on, call and move on. Right?
Yes.
I'm not going to sit there and argue with you over why you should buy my product. If you're not that interested and I'm not getting that vibe, I'm just moving to the next person. Right?
Yeah.
And that's a nice space to be in. Not every agent has that liberty. Like even my wife doesn't quite have that liberty, right? She's got a lot of great leads, but she has to work them. Like she has to stay on that person and really, and have those deeper conversations of like, why aren't you interested? And what can we do to turn this around a little different? So
Yeah.
it's a nice place to be. When I door knocked, that's how I treated it. Because when I was door knocking, I would cut out 120 homes in a thick residential neighborhood, and I would just do rounds until basically I talked to every person there, that would at least answer the door. I mean, there's a percentage of them that just look through the window and they're like, no, not interested. So you just mark them off and move on. But that was it.
They didn't just wave. They did some other things.
Yeah. Wave with one finger, like, get out of here. So yeah, there was a certain percentage of those people. Right. But I mean, I would talk to 95 to 100 people out of every 120 of those homes. And it was the same thing. It was just like, either you're interested or not, because there's a neighbor right next door that's going to be interested, and just over and over and over. So,
and I wanted to, so Johnny, and we still have a few minutes here. And so, again, kudos to you on freaking Ultimate Agent, man. Like even me, like I'm coming in on year 9 and I still would have been freaking, like, I would have been sweating too, man. Like, I mean, that's a lot of pressure. So kudos to you. I mean, 6 freaking weeks in, y'all. I hope you guys heard that. That's so freaking crazy impressive. So, but I want to, because now we're how long ago technically was that? How long have you technically been in life insurance now? How many months?
So I've been in April, May, June, July, August. So 4.5.
Okay.
Now.
So now what I want to, and dude, you've had like exponential growth. right? And I love that you said, you talked about the network, and that, y'all, if you get in that room, and I think me and Tony, I mean, it's literally why me and Tony are doing this show together, is because we took advantage of what was a good relationship, because we had the opportunity, and we were afforded the opportunity, I should say, to go get in the same room as some other, again, high network, and that freaking blew up Redwood and everything. You guys know my story. But your network is your net worth. But what I wanted to talk about now is, okay, new agent coming in, right? Now you've again had exponential growth, right? You seem like you've been doing it for years, right? I'm not playing. I'm being 100% honest. What are some things, go back to day one, hey, like, okay, now I know what I know. We've got new agents watching this, right? I've got new people that are starting in life that we're trying to ramp up there too. I need another 2 to 3 things. Okay, knowing what I do now, right? And I know obviously what you learned on Ultimate Agent, but like how you're running your business, like you talked on telesales and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So if you had to start over your life insurance business, like basically go back to day one and start it over, right? What would you do differently, if anything, right? Or what was like, hey, what is the ideal business model that you're really tapping into now?
Well, honestly, like it is telesales and one call closes. That's what I've realized is like the follow-up game is so challenging, especially in telesales. And so kind of the system that we have is like, it's designed for a telesales sale, if that makes sense. So it's like, because it's a direct mail, we send out a form, and then they call in to our system. And then pretty much from there, it's they go through like who's like, because I do mortgage protection. That's all I do. I've dabbled in like final expense. We did that on the show. Is my first time doing final expense. So like that's why I asked Leslie, like, what's the script that I use? Because I know my mortgage protection script and it's not the same. It's very similar, but it's like it's not at all like it's not the same, right? So it's like I had to train my mind literally in the second of like, oh, okay, like I'm a financial, like I'm final expense, like not like trying to protect the home, right? Because some people, a lot of them lived in apartments, and so they don't own homes, right?
Yeah.
So, what I realized is a few things, right? So, the first one, my first week, I set 17 appointments off 1,500 dials. 2 showed up.
Right.
So it's like you go in newer agents like, oh, the first thing set an appointment, that's a win.
17 appointments, baby.
Dude,
let's go.
Yeah. Like, I'm just hyped, right? And all of a sudden, boom, no show after no show after no show. So it's like, oh, I'm like, I was thinking I'm pretty good at this, right? And then all of a sudden, boom, smack on my face that made no money. And it's like, oh, shoot. And then all of a sudden, like, I get them to show, and it's like, yeah, I wasn't really interested. Like, yeah, like, can you just take me off the list? Or like, I don't know, like just different things. And so like I couldn't overcome that, but I had to have a mentor that continuously gave me the next step, not just this all these things, like, all right, do this and then talk to me next, like the next step. And I think like he's like, all right, so we really need to focus on like the why are they filling out this form, why are they calling in? Get down to ask the questions that most people aren't going to want to ask, the uncomfortable questions, the things that might turn them off a little bit. But it's like that also is going to ultimately make them want to buy a lot quicker and like in that moment. So I think being able to dig into the why of like what made you
even
fill out this form or like call in and just leave your information. Like what was the main reason? And like like 2 days ago, he's like, because my wife's a single mom and she could not stay in here if we didn't have any coverage. And I'm like, do you have any coverage? And he's like, no. And so then he's selling me why I should give him a whole payoff instead of a half, right? Like it's like, that's when it really changes the game, when you get them to really sell you on why they should get more coverage, right? So I think it's really asking the questions that a lot of people are scared to ask, because honestly, I was scared to ask those questions because it's uncomfortable a little bit, honestly. But there's I think
there's so much power in questions, bro. And that's in you guys hear this though, right? He asked the question and then let them talk, right? To where they sell themselves if you guys just shut up. And I know I can't say I'm always perfect either, because I'm a freaking blabbermouth. Tony knows very well.
Go blurt.
That's add that one to the Google Doc. That one's next week's. But no,
Already
like
used it.
when it comes to sales though, like and I'm not tooting my own horn though, but that's man, you get me on the phones. It's like ask the powerful questions. Really,
Yeah.
like why are you even calling me? Like why are we talking, right? And really, and not don't use that tone of voice, right? Maybe shift it up a little bit, but tap into that why, and then just let them talk. Like let them answer, let them sell themselves. I think that's so powerful. And real quick, I know we're pushing our time here, but I had one last question for you here, Johnny. And this is I know you probably know this, but I wanted to kind of end with this. 5 years from now, where is Johnny? Where's Johnny 5 years from now, man? Like, what is like? I'm like, I know you probably have a vision board and everything like that, but like, where do you really foresee yourself? You know, I want to say you're building a team now, even though you're still kind of getting into it. You're building. Where 5 years from now, man? Where are you going to be?
Well, 5 years from now, having a conference for young entrepreneurs, that's my goal. And so like but the insurance industry is able to get me to that. And I think it's such a niched market, and like being able to like have different connections in this space. I think it's what I've realized is it's such a gift to be able to like have like just know a lot of people in the space now, that it's like boom, like I could just get in front of different people's like audiences, and I could start getting a following just from insurance, and start an insurance right now. And then it's such a great way to be able to add other things as well, because insurance is definitely like a niche market. And if you're crushing it in the space, people come and start like flying at you, right? And so I think being able to grab them like through that. So I brought on a full-time social media guy that does all my like editing, all that stuff. And yeah, I'm really impressed by him. Honestly, he's really cool.
What's his contact info and everything?
No.
I'm tired of doing all my own shit.
Drop
man.
it on the banner real quick. Let's go.
It's funny because he's a lot of people have asked that, and I'm like, dude, I don't want to give your info out. He's like, all right, that's fine. Like, I was like, I'll just keep you more busy. I'll pay you more. Like, if you can do more content for me. But I think 5 years from now, being able to like I want to be like, my goal is to be a millionaire in 18 months. Okay. And so I'm really pushing hard for that. And so it's like, okay, cool. I want to do that and just build the machine. So that's why like buying into Power Players was not easy, but it's worth it, because I know that'll get me there quicker. And I know that building that skill and having that like experience and network of people, they're not, I'm not going to pull them down. I'm going to get pulled up. Like there's too many like successful people in there. They're not going to stoop down to my level. I'm going to have to be forced to go up to theirs. And I think like being able to constantly push yourself out of your comfort zone, like honestly, like my goal is to spend $100K next year just on self-development and things like that, to be able to push it forward. Cause I know each time I spend money, it's like income just comes flying back like so fast, but it hurts a little bit to put it up front. Right. So honestly, just be able to build like my podcast, build like different things, build branding, so that like wherever I go, because I'm with Impact now, but it's like, dude, what if I'm not there forever? What if something happens? I don't want people to be so sold on a company. I want them to know who I am, because if I go and start my own IMO, say for example, like I don't think I would, but say maybe that happens. I don't want them to be like, oh, I'm staying because I came to you because of Impact. I came to you because you're Johnny, and I really like what you're doing, right? So building a brand, being able to honestly like do what Cody's doing, but more of on an entrepreneurial scale. So that's honestly like my goal. Yeah.
With that, so where can they find you? Where and I know shout out the podcast and everything. If you guys haven't already, Johnny runs an amazing show, and it's not just for insurance; it is for young entrepreneurs, if I'm correct.
Yes.
So let them know where they can reach out to you, the podcast, all that good stuff.
Yeah. So it's called From Unknown to Unforgettable. Joe's actually been a guest on there. And that's why we called it this, because it's everybody can relate to that person that's just down out, like nobody knows who you are, terrible, like obstacles, homeless, whatever it is, right? You're unknown, but to get to unforgettable, like the little things matter, right? And so everybody wants to get to that unforgettable spot. And so I'm trying to be able to have a podcast that highlights people who are doing great stuff in the entrepreneurial space that can give like me, like I'm not even close to where I want to be, but it's like I want people to know that like you can start small because it literally, like, I'm going to tell this on stage one day. I'm in a 500 square foot apartment right now. I'm literally moving into a new apartment, 2 bedrooms this week. And it's like, literally, like, it starts so small.
Right.
And the biggest obstacles create the best stories. So if you want to follow me, you know you're going to anyways. You're going to see me on like everywhere. But
Get
just
'em.
shoot me a follow, comment.
Might as
But
well
from
do it
unknown
now.
to
You're going to follow me
unforgettable.
eventually.
Yeah,
Exactly,
it's like you
right?
might as well do it now.
Yeah,
Don't
because
be late.
you
Don't be
could
late to the
you,
party.
exactly. You could brag to your friends you followed me when I was younger. But yeah, so Johnny Nitafan, JOHNNY Nitafan, NITAFAN. 1 on Instagram. Just look up Johnny Nitafan on Facebook, and then I'm on LinkedIn, YouTube, Spotify. Even our podcast is on, as well as TikTok. So posting a
Hell
ton
yeah.
of content. So yeah, follow me. Definitely, I'd love to follow, like, have you follow me on the journey. So
Love
And
it,
if you were
man. Love
if
it.
you were not a fan, if you were not a fan of Nitafan, I am not a fan of you.
Ooh.
I know we've kind of gone long, but if you don't mind, I want to press this a little bit further and chew up a few more good
Yeah.
minutes here, because there's a couple things that we haven't asked that we've kind of overlooked, and I know the audience wants to know. So I want to go back to New Mexico for a minute. I want to go back to
Okay.
those
Oh,
big dreams.
Tony's stuck on
I
this New
love it.
Mexico,
I love
man.
I
Yeah.
want to go back to those big dreams and some of the things that you were doing. You're knocking on doors. You're raising your own money. You're pursuing your own dreams, right? You have this vision in your brain. What is your family life back then? Like, what are they saying when they see you writing letters, asking for money? What are they saying when you're knocking on doors, fundraising? Like, what are they doing in the background while you're doing some
Yeah.
of these different things that other kids don't do?
Well, they shot, like, my dad. I really appreciate him a ton, because when I went home and, like, told him I was gonna quit basketball, like, they're so supportive from the start, and they were always really, really, really supportive of me. And so they're like, "What you want to do, we're gonna back you 100%." But, like, you need to show us that you're bought in and sold out too.
Hmm.
And so they just had basic things, like, literally, I almost got grounded from going to the gym when I was in high school because I had a C in my class, and he's like, "I know you could do better. Like, I know it. So, like, why aren't you? Like, you just pick up your grades, because I know you can." And but they're I really appreciate them, because they were all my dad was always like, "It's okay to, like, not go to college. It's okay to not do these things, but at least have a plan."
Right.
And so I think it's really cool, because I went and told him, like, "Hey, I'm quitting basketball." Like, he was just, like, so supportive, like, "Okay, you got to work then, or you got to go to school, like, one or the other, but have a plan." And
Right.
he's like, "If, like, I'm not just going to pay for you just to be out there and do nothing." Right. Cause I was like, I want to stay in Phoenix. It's good to leave the nest, but it's like trying to figure that out. And so I was like, all right, I'll start working at Starbucks and get the benefit of, like, going to school for free. They give it for free online. And so I was like, all right, I'll do that. And, like, I literally failed 2 semesters straight, and then I quit. Or not, I didn't quit. I just pivoted to insurance. So it's
There we go.
it's not
Come
a
on.
loss. It's not a loss.
He's
right?
learning.
So
Hey, me quitting college was by far the best freaking decision Joe Campert ever made.
Right.
I'll tell you that freaking right
Yes.
now. I'll be labeled a dropout for the rest of my freaking life, because I'll tell you, it don't feel like I'm a dropout. That's for sure.
Yeah, 100%. But they were very supportive of me. They would, like,
good.
I would tell them these different things. They would give me ideas on how to expand on it more. So they were really supportive, but it wasn't like it really wasn't like anybody else. Like, it's like my friends, like, they would live in the gated communities. They lived in these nicer places that they could go and do different things. And it's like, no, you have to work for it, because we're also working for it. We're
Right.
using a lot of our money, a lot of our paid time off, so that we can take you to tournaments. Like, you have to put in some effort too. And so it's like, all right. So it makes you just think creatively when you really want to do something. Like, how can I get there? How can I do it? Because making it to Vegas, like, 3 times in like 6 months is not easy for, like, just a normal person, right? Like, traveling a ton. And so it's like, how do I get people to pay, like, try to, like, network into, like, getting on a sponsored team,
Mhm.
or, like, doing different things. But I think the networking thing came from an early stage because I was able to get training from the best trainers at a young age in basketball because I knew this person that knew the trainer, or I knew this person that knew this person that knew the trainer. So I'd become friends with them and be like, oh, like they're like, come on, like I bet you could come. And then they're like, yeah, cool. So then I'm in the training with them. And then this person knows this person. And all of a sudden it's like, whoa, like there's a network of people that you have built all when you're a teen. And then I'm like, dude, I could do this with insurance. This person knows this. Like I literally hired 3 virtual assistants because of Joe, because I knew him. And so it's like different things, like thinking outside the box, networking, creating, like being creative. So they were really supportive, to answer your question.
Yep.
Awesome.
That's good.
When did you meet Bailey?
Yeah.
I met Bailey college. So funny story, we didn't really like each other at the start. But I was really, really, really good friends with her brother. And her brother and I were actually roommates in college for 2 years.
Okay.
Until I married her. And so pretty much what happened was when I quit basketball, I made the decision. I called my dad, hey, I'm quitting basketball. And all of a sudden, Bailey and I end up at the same dinner place with her brother because I'm good friends with him and all this stuff. And so, like, they're sitting over there. Like, there's, like, 8 of us. And, like, Bailey's sitting right next to me. And, like, I didn't like her, honestly. But I was like, something, I feel like I can trust her. And so right after I quit, called the coach and told him I'm not going. I was like, hey, could I like tell you like the biggest secret I have? And she's like, yeah. And I was like, I just quit basketball. And she's like, what? Because everybody knew me as like the basketball player. That was my identity in who I was. And she's like, what? And I was like, don't tell anyone though. Cause like, so I told her that, but like, honestly, we didn't really like each other because I felt like she was intruding in our guy time, but like it was more me intruding in them because they're really close. And so that's how we met. And so then we like literally would share on campus, cold sharing, like talk to people, cold approach, and just share like our faith in the Bible and all that with them and invite them to different things. And so we built a friendship just on that. Like we'd go sharing at the college, and we would talk in between and share together, be a part of groups. So that's how we really built our relationship and our friendship, is through that stuff. And so that's how we met.
That's awesome, man. Hey, Bailey, hold on. If Bailey's watching this, Saturdays are for the boys.
No, but okay, let me tell you this. Okay? Let me tell you this. I told my friend, anybody gave me a Gary Vee book, like I know they're the one. A few weeks after I met her, I was talking about how I love Gary Vee, and she gave me 2 books from Gary Vee.
Yeah.
And I was like, no way. But I didn't really like her at the time, but I was like, dude, what the heck?
Yeah, there it is.
That's crazy. That's nuts. And all of a sudden I told my friends, and they're like, she's cool, but like there's no way that you're in her league. Like, no way. And I was like, I mean, I'll give it a shot. If I get told no, then okay, but I'll give it a shot. So shot my shot and it worked.
It obviously did. What's just kind of digging into that just a tad more before we shut this thing down, because this is getting pretty juicy here. But what's her role been like in these last, say, 2 years?
That's a good,
right? As you've kind of made some changes and made some pivots, right? You're not quitting on certain things, but you're making some pivots and you're seeking these new things. You have all this stuff going on, flying out to the Ultimate Agent, all this. I mean, you're on a bit of a roller coaster, bro, and it's beautiful to watch.
Yeah.
You are living a life of one of my favorite platitudes from Sun Tzu, which is opportunities multiply as opportunities are seized, right? And you alluded to that earlier, but what's her role been as a support system for you?
Yeah. That's a great question. And honestly, like, she's been ride or die, like, honestly, from the start. Like, she's just been like, I trust you, and I trust that, like, because when I made the decision to even go into life insurance, like from the employee benefits and kind of leaving her dad's partnership in a way and going our own route, I was like, I don't want to be stuck in one spot. Like, I want to be able to do this all over the country, wherever and whenever. And with that, you're more tied down because in person, right? And so I was like, I don't really want to do this. And I know you want to travel And so it's a lot. Like it was honestly scary because I presented it to her at first, and I was like, I can make like so much money so fast. And she's like, it sounds kind of weird. But then and then I waited a few months and I was like, hey, I actually want to do this. And I like, here's the plan, like here's where I want to go. Like, what do you think? And I think she's just been such a huge support system no matter what. Like that's why I got so emotional on like the show, because like
Yep.
she was literally like sending me encouraging messages like, you need to break these limiting beliefs, different things, like been at conferences. Like that's not her favorite thing to do, but she does it because she wants to support and like be there and
That's
like
good.
encourage me. And like she's like, okay, like literally you're gonna take all of our money and put it into this business. Like that's, you got to put some guts on the line for that. Like not everybody will, and I understand like not everybody does have as like an amazing like spouse and support system as that. And I feel like super grateful and privileged. And I think like honestly, I always wanted somebody from the start that I had nothing with, so that I can literally like, if they were able to buy into like being loyal, even when we're in a 500 square foot apartment, like I know that they'll be loyal at the top when we do have a lot of money. And so like that's what like my goal, my dream was to get married young, honestly, because I was like, if I'm in the NBA, people are going to be flying at me. I want people to know me when I was in high school. And like I want people to know me when I had nothing. So I
Right.
can give them everything, because that's the ultimate test of loyalty, like that they don't change when the money changes, right? And
Right.
so I think like she's just been like so her role's just been like really like encouraging me in the hard times, and not saying like she's expressed her fears, but like I know that there's like probably other things that like maybe she like hasn't shared, like, oh, like that's a huge risk, like all those things. Like when I'm like on the optimistic train and like this is like where we want to go, this is what we want to do, like she's all for it. She's like, do it, go for it, go after your dreams, I want you to accomplish it, I want you to succeed.
It's
And
good.
not like holding me down, like the limiting beliefs, like not pulling me down, but like pushing me up.
Yep.
Letting me like, okay, like that sounds crazy, but like I'm for it. Like I really wanted to join
Awesome.
Power Players, and all of a sudden she's like, do it.
Just do it.
Like
Yep.
do it. If you're saying yes to
Do it.
something, you're saying no to other things. So do you want to say yes to this or no to like and no to something else, or do you want to say no or yes to other things? And
Right.
if this is what
Yeah.
you want to say yes to, I know it'll
Understood.
propel you to where we want to go. And so having somebody that's like, I don't know, like, dude, it's hard to explain, because she's just been so encouraging, like loving, like caring. When I'm on my worst day, she's like, it's gonna get better, it's okay, like we'll keep going, because she sees the vision sometimes when I don't even see it myself.
Right.
Cool.
It's good.
Man, this has been a
Good, man.
phenomenal hour. Thank
Yeah.
you for joining us.
Appreciate
It's been
you,
a
brother.
super pleasure. I would like you to, one last thing, like if you could say something to young couples, right?
Mm-hmm.
Young couples in their 20s, 21, 22, right? And they're at that moment in their life where they are living in a small apartment, or they're right, and they kind of have their dreams and are not maybe sure. Like if you had a tiny little piece of advice that you could
Yeah.
give to a young couple in their early 20s, what would you say to them?
Find what you guys really want to do in life. Like find what drives you, find what you guys are both passionate about, and find it together. Like you have to have a dream together, and it can't be just one-sided, because if it's one-sided, it's just going to be a really tough dynamic and situation. And I think like being able to find something, like she's not like, she's done office work for insurance, she's worked with like her dad for years in the health insurance space, so she knows how to do that stuff. So she utilized those skills, like I know how to call carriers, I know how to do that. So she quit her job and just started calling the carriers to help them get issued. Now she's finishing school this semester, so I had to bring someone else on. But it's like find something that you guys both want to do, and be able to find a way to incorporate both of them. So for us, her passion isn't the business world, her passion isn't to be on stage speaking and all that, but her passion is traveling. So how can we do that together? So okay, cool, I want to do insurance, but I can't stay here forever. Like I want to do telesales, so that we
just
can
get
go to
licensed in
Hawaii,
more
we can go
states.
Yep.
exactly, right?
Go to where you want.
Exactly. Well, it's like now I'm like working all East Coast when I'm here, so it's a 3-hour difference, and so
Sure.
that's why I'm able to like protect some time at home. So it's like I'm done at
Yep.
6, which is 9 Eastern, and then I'm able to hang out for the rest of the night with her. And so
Awesome.
being able to find something that you guys both want to do and really incorporate it together. So for us, like I said, it was insurance, the money vehicle to be able to fuel the dream that we really have together. And it's traveling. And like, my goal is to speak all across the country, like kind of like a Coach Burt, Cody Askins together. But like on a higher scale. I know that sounds crazy, but like, it's
Hey,
like, that's what I want to do. And so,
Let's go.
so that's what I want to do. So like, she's able to travel and I want to speak in really nice spots. So that's some of the advice, is just build a vision together. And like, really, I'm not the one making the money. Like, yeah, I am, but it's our money. Like, this is our
Sure.
dream. We're doing it together. And because she's done so much that are like, not money making things, but like have literally pushed me and propelled me to who I've become today. So it's like, we're doing this together.
It's good.
So yeah.
Well
It's good,
said,
man.
brother. Man, thank y'all again. Thank you again for coming out. You know, this has been
thank you, brother.
a jam-packed hour full of great nuggets, great conversation, some gems, some thoughts, a little bit of emotion. I've loved it. And like I said earlier, man, if you're not a fan of Knit a Fan, I'm not a fan of you. So everybody
Let's
out there
go.
listening, thank you all for tuning in with us. It's been a phenomenal Wednesday. We'll see you next week.
It's
Live
it's
as always,
Wednesday.
9 a.m. Central. So
It's
the
Wednesday,
pick of the
right?
week, guys.
the week
Pedal to
ain't
the
over.
metal.
Let's get it. Let's get it.
We'll see y'all for
All right, y'all.
Friday Fuel, right?
Friday Fuel this Friday. We'll see y'all. Have a good one.
Adios.
Insurance syndicate, dropping gems, don't believe me, just watch.